Hey, what's up? Welcome to this new video. This one is paper 1-2 of May-June 2012. Obviously, this is paper 1 of A-level. Now, with that being said, let's move on to question number 1. So, in this question, we have what? The diagram shows the region enclosed by the curve and the x-axis and the lines x2 and x3. So, here we have a region inside enclosed, right? This is the region that we are talking about, enclosed by the curve, this line, and the x-axis. Great. Now, what is the first thing I can do? I can actually rewrite this equation. That could be written as 6 2x minus 3 power this. Now, up to you, right? Don't need to do this really, but it is up to you. Now, what else can we do now? So we understand that we have to find, in terms of pi, the volume obtained when this region is rotated through 360 about the x-axis. Okay, so let's do this. So here again we have a rotation about the x-axis, so it is x-axis, we understand. To find the volume we have to use our formula, which is pi, limits between 3 and 2. And here we need to have, because here we have x, that needs to be y squared dx. So first thing first, we have to find the value of y squared. Why is this? What is y squared? So square both sides, you will have y squared needs to be 36, and that will be 2x this power minus 2. So now we just have to replace back in our main equation to find the volume. Pi is pi. That should be 3, 2, and that should be 36. 2x minus 3 power minus 2 dx. Now we can first send this one outside because it is only a multiple, it doesn't change anything. That should be 3, 2, and here we have 2x minus 3 this dx. Now, as we have seen many times before, what should we do here first? We have to increase the power by 1, so you will have 36 pi, that should be 2x minus 3. First increase by 1, that should be minus 1, because minus 2 plus 1 is minus 1. Then divide by the same power. Then divide again by the value here. dy by dx of this value will give you 2. Limits 3 and 2. Now we can first simplify. Here we have 2 cancel out. That should be 18. So we can have 18 pi, and this will be minus 1 over 2x minus 3. Limits of 3 and 2. So here we have 18 pi. First replace the value of 3 inside, that should be minus 1 over 2 times 3 is 6, minus 3 is 3. Here we have minus, then we have minus 1 over, here we have 2, so 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is 1. So you have 18 pi, and here we have minus 1 over 3 plus 1 should be 2 over 3. Now replace, cancel out, that should be 6, and you will have 12 pi units cubed for the volume for that shape. Again, the main thing to understand is this one. Because we have a rotation through 360 about the x-axis, we know our formula will be v equal to pi limits of y squared. X will be y squared. Now when you have rotation about the y-axis, your formula will be what? Pretty easy. That will be pi integration. Because here we have y, that should be x squared respect to dy. Okay, so this is the two things we kind of have to know when it comes down to rotation about the x-axis or the y-axis. The formula is the most important thing to know. Again, everything else is simple integration that we have seen before in A-level, in AdMath, that will help you to solve this kind of question. Now let's move on to the next question. The equation of a curve is y equal to this. Now, the first thing I like to do is I like to simplify or rewrite the equation. What is x? What is root of x? We understand root of x is simply x power half, and that will be 2 x power minus half. Now, since we have y as this, to find dy by dx is pretty easy. So first we have to multiply by the power, and then we have to minus 1 to the power. That should be this. Same thing, multiply by the power, and then power minus 1 should be 3 over 2. So this whole thing will lead you to cancel out here 2. That should be 2 over root of x. And that should be minus 1 over root of x cubed. That will be part 1 of your question. Now for part 2, a point is moving along the curve in such a way that the x value is increasing at a constant rate of this. So increasing, so we know dx by dt is increasing positive value of 0.12. We are given dx by dt. So we have to find the rate of change of dy. So we have to find dy by dt. Now we have to form an equation. dy by dt will be dy on top, and here we have dt at the bottom. Now they are connected by what? You can see, obviously, the only thing is dx. Now the value here we know already, which is 0.12. So we just have to find this one. We have to find dy by dx when the value of x have to be the value of 4. Replace back in your equation here. So 2 over root of 4 is 2 minus 1 over root of 64. Let's try. I'm not too sure. I think it's 16, but 4 power 3, 64. Yeah, okay, good. That should be 1 minus 1 over 8. That should be 7 over 8. So replace back here everything. So dy by dx, so by dt, have to be dy by dx will be 7 over 8 multiplied by 0.12. So 7 over 8 times 0.12, that should be 0.105, and that should be units per second, according to this given to you over here. And that will be part 2 of your question. Let's move on to the next question. The coefficient of x power 3 in this expansion is 90. So we know the coefficient. So for example, if you were to expand this, you will have something 90 x power 3. So this is the coefficient, right? Now using this value or this information, we have to find the value of the positive a. So let's see. How would you expand this? So one by one. For this one, you will do 5 combination something. Here we have a, and here we have plus x. Now because we care about the term in x cube, we have to keep cube over here for it to become x cube. If here we have 3, this will be 3 as well. 5 minus 3 is 2. Now for this one, same step, 6 combination something. Here we have 2, and here we have minus x. Now for it to be cube, obviously, here we have to maintain cube, and this will be 3, and that should be 3 as well right here. Now let's see what does that give us. For this one, 5 combination 3 should be 10, but let's check. It is 10 indeed. And here we have a power 2, and that should be x cubed. Now what is 6 combination 3? That should be 20. Here we have 8, and here we have minus x cubed. So simplify. Here we have 10 a squared minus 160. Combine them together, you will have this. But now we know this, the coefficient here is supposed to be 90, so we can equate them to each other. You have 10 a squared minus this have to be 90. So 10 a squared have to be 250. So a squared have to be 25. So a obviously have to be plus minus 5, but eventually a have to be 5 because they require here to give the value of the positive value of a. So a will have to be 5. Now let's move on to the next question. The point A has coordinates minus 1, minus 5. The point B has coordinates 7, 1. So A is minus 1, minus 5, and the point B is 7, 1. Now the perpendicular bisector of AB meets the x-axis at the point C and the y-axis at the point D. Find the length of CD. So to find the length of CD, we must first find the point D and the point C. So one by one, we have to understand what's happening. For example, here we have a point A, and here we have a point B. Right, A and B. Now we have a perpendicular bisector. What is that line? It is a line that passes through the midpoint of AB at 90 degrees. That is the definition of perpendicular bisector. Now the same line crosses the x-axis at the point C and the y-axis at the point D. Right, so we have to find the length of CD. But first we have to find the points C and D. So to find the point C and D, we understand that they are the point of intersection, right? So we first have to find the equation of the line. Let's call this P. So let's first find the equation of P. To find the equation of a straight line, we have to find the gradient of P. But we know we can use the gradient of AB to find that. The gradient of AB is given to you by what? As you can see, we have to use the 2 points, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That should be 6 over 8. That should be divided by 2. That should be 3 over 4. From this, we realize the gradient of P has to be minus 4 over 3. Now we have a passing point M. So what is the point M? Is a midpoint of AB, so pretty easy. x1 plus x2 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. y1 plus y2 is minus 4, divided by 2 is minus 2. So here we have a passing point, we have the gradient, we can find the equation. So y minus 2 over x minus 3 have to be minus 4 over 3. Again, this is just a way or method to find the equation of a straight line. Now cross multiply, you will have what? You will have 3y plus 6, and that will be minus 4x plus 12. 3y is equal to minus 4x plus 6. That will be your equation of your straight line P. Now to find the point C, as you can see, it is on the x-axis. So you can write on the x-axis, what do we know? The value of y have to be 0. Replace everything here, so 0 will be minus 4x is 6. So x will be 3 over 2, which is 1.5. So the point C will be 1.50. Now to find the point D, it is on the y-axis. What do we know? On the y-axis, the value of x have to be 0. That will be 3y equal to 0 plus 6. So y will be the value of 2. So the point D will be 0, 2. Now to find the length of CD, pretty easy. We can just use the formula which we know, which is x2 minus this, and then square, that should be 1.5 square, plus the value of this minus this square, that should be 2 square. So 1.5 square plus 2 square, that will be 6.25. Root of that, that should be 2.5. 2.5 units for the length of CD. Again, the other method is you can use the diagram. For example, here I know the point here is 1.5, and here we have 2, which means this length here is 2, and the length here is 1.5, and since we have a right angle triangle, this will can be found by using the Pythagoras theorem. Same thing. And that will be your question to finding the length of CD. Now let's move on to the next question. We have to prove the left-hand side becomes the right-hand side. So step by step, what is tan of x? Tan of x is sine over cos. And what is 1 over tan? It is cos over sine. Now we have to combine them together. We can multiply them by each other. You will have sine times cos. Then cross multiply, you will have sine square plus cos square. Now sine square plus cos square is obviously 1, and this will be simply sin x and cos x. This is shown as required. Now for part 2, we have to solve this equation equal to this for this. Pretty easy. Now we know that 1 over this is this. So what is 2? We just have to multiply by 2. You will have 2. So let's solve one by one. Why not? Because here we have 2 over sin x cos x. Now we understand this is the same thing as 2 multiplied by 1 over sin x cos x. Now as we have seen, 1 over sin x cos x is simply this one. That will be 2 times tan plus 1 over tan. Now we can replace back. You will have 2 tan plus 2 over tan is equal to 1 plus 3 tan. Now we can simplify. We can multiply by tan everywhere. To remove this one, you will have 2 tan square plus 2 has to be tan plus 3 tan square. Send everything to one side, you will have tan square plus tan minus 2 have to be 0. Now you can see we have a quadratic equation we can solve, factorize. That will be tan times tan, 2 is 2 times 1. To get plus 1, we have to have plus 2 minus 1. So tan will be 1, tan will be minus 2. So we have two possible values. Now let me write this again. Tan of x can be 1 and tan of x can be -2. Now when tan is positive, it will be in the first quadrant and in the third quadrant. So pretty easy. When it is positive, we can find the value directly. Tan inverse of 1, that should be 45 degrees. But also, as you can see from the third quadrant, should be 180 plus 45, that should be 225. So x can be those two values. Here we have, when tan is negative, it will be in this quadrant and in this quadrant. This will be 180 minus theta, and this is 360 minus theta. Now theta is not your answer. Theta will be tan inverse of the positive value. Here we have -2, but here to find theta we use the positive value. Tan inverse of 2, that should be 63.4. But our answer is not theta, obviously. We have to find x. X will be according to your quadrants. That will be 180 minus 63.4. That should be 116.6. And also 296.6. But as you can see here, x is only between 0 and 180, so we cannot take those two values. We only have to be this one and this one. So x have to be 45 and 116.6. Okay, that will be your answer for part 2 of your question. Now let's move on to the next question. The diagram shows a metal plate made by removing a segment from a circle with center O, okay, and a radius of 8. So if the radius here is 8, which means OB and OA are the radius, OA will also be 8, right? Now what else? We have the line AB is a chord of a circle right here, and then we have angle AOB is 2.4. This is 2.4. Okay. Now part 1, we have to find the length of AB. So pretty easy. How do you find the length of AB? We can find this by using the cosine rule. Because why? Because we have the two sides. We know the angle in the between. We can find the third side as well. So cosine of the angle 2.4 radians have to be 8 square plus 8 square minus AB square divided by 2 times 8 times 8. Now we can just solve, cross multiply, make AB square become the subject. So we have cos of 2.4, we have to use radians, times 2 times 8 times 8. That will be this. And we send this over here, so how do we? Minus 2 times 64, right? And then we have, so you will have AB square have to be 222.386. So finally, we have to find root of answer. That should be this one. So AB will be 14.9, correct to 3SF. This is one way of finding the answer. Obviously, we have other methods we can use. For example, you can break this down into two pieces, join O2 here, and that will be 90. And you can use SOHCAHTOA to find the values of that. Now for part 2, we have to find the perimeter of the plate. So how would you find the distance around the plate? So by observation, if this is 2.4, what is this value over here? Pretty easy. That will be 2 pi minus 2.4. That should be 3.88. Now to find this whole thing over here, pretty easy. It is arc length is r theta. R is 8 times the angle is 3.88. What is that value? That should be 31.065. Now together, we have to add this and this to find the perimeter. That should be 31.065 plus 14.9. That should be 46.0. That will be the perimeter for this plate, correct to 3SF. Now for part 3, we have to find the area of the plate. So again, we can break this down into two pieces. One can be the area of this one, which is area of sector, and number 2, area of the triangles. So area will be area, so the sector is half, r square is 8 square, angle is 3.88 theta, plus area of triangle, half sine of the angle in between, and times the two sides around the angle. That should be half times 64 times 3.88 plus half times sine of 2.4 times 64. That should be 145.77, but corrected 3SF, 146 centimeters square for the area of the plate. Let's move on to the next question. In an AP, the sum of the first n terms is given to you by this. Great. Now we have to find the first term and the common difference d. So we have to find a and d. So pretty easy again. To find the first term, we just need to find the sum of the first term because that is the only term in the sum. So n equal to 1, that should be 1 square plus 8, and that should be 9, which means the first term a is 9. Now to find the common difference is also very easy. We can find the sum of the first two terms. That should be what? 4 times, so 8 times 2, that should be 16, and that should be 20. So it means the sum of the first two terms of the first term we know is 9. The second term we don't know is x, but we know that 9 plus x is supposed to give you 20, right? So x will be 11. So second term will be 11, right? Let me write this down. So first term is 9, second term is 11. Now what is the common difference? As you can see, it is plus 2, right? Because 9 plus 2, 11, so the common difference will be plus 2. Okay, and that will be part 1 of your question. Now let's move on to part B. So here we have a GP. The second term, so here we have the first term we don't know is a. The second term is what? It is 9 less than the first term. So usually, how do you find the second term? It should be a times r. But we also know that if you take second term, it is equal to, it is 9 less than the first term, so a minus 9. That is my first equation. Now, the sum of the second term and the third term is 30. So now what is the third term? It should be a r power 2. As we have seen before, the nth term for a GP is a r n minus 1. So we have to know this. I mean, it is given to you, so you have to know on your list of formula we have that. We can use that to find this one, right? Now the sum of the second term, which is AR plus AR square, is supposed to be 30. Now we have equation number 2. Okay, so now we have these two. We can try to solve and see what happens. So here we can try to do something. Let's factorize AR outside. You will have 1 plus R is equal to 30. Now AR is equal to, because here it's not working out, let's see what can we do, because let's see what can we do here. So we can try to make A become subject from this one. So A will be, we have to send A over here as well. So here we have AR minus A have to be 9. Factorize A, you have R minus 1. That will be the value of 9. So A will be 9 over R minus 1. That will be A as subject. Again, there's many ways to solve this. We can try by division as well, but it is always solved by, because we have two unknowns and we have to find the values of A and B. So it has to be a simultaneous equation. So let's see how can we proceed with that. So right now we have the value of A as this. So we can replace here if you want to. That will give you what? A is 9 over R minus 1 times R, 1 plus R, is equal to 30. Now we can just cross multiply. This will go here. So you will be 9, that will be R plus R square, and that will be 30 R minus 1. Now first thing first, we can divide by 3 everywhere. You will have 3 here, and then we'll have 10 here. Expand, you will have 3R plus 3R square have to be 10R minus 10. Now let's rearrange. Let's send everything to one side. You will have 3R square plus 3 minus 10 should be minus 7, and plus 10 have to be 0. Now we can try to factorize and see what happens. That will be 3R times R, and here we have 10. We can put 10 here, 10 times 1. To get minus 7, we need minus 10 plus 3, but this one is not good because if you check, minus times plus have to be minus. In here we have plus, so this is not good factorization. So let's try again. Had to be 3r times r. Now 10 is what? 10 is 1 times 10, 2 times 5. So we can have 2 here. So it's not working out again. So let's see. B squared minus 4 times a times c. So no, it's not factorizable. So there should be a mistake somewhere. Let's see where did I make a mistake here. So we have minus r minus this. Oh, here you go. I see a mistake right here. You can see here, so we have this. We send this over here. This should be minus 9. Here we must have minus 9. That should be minus 3, minus, and minus. So let me rewrite this down. It should be minus 3r minus 3r squared is equal to 10r minus 10. Send everything to one side. You will have 3r squared plus 13r minus 10 have to be 0. Now we can factorize. That should be 3r, and that should be the value of r. And here we have 10 and 3. So 10 is 1 times 10, or it can be 2 times 5. And let me choose 5 here. I can choose 2 here. To get plus 13, we have to have plus 15 and minus 2. So r can be 2 over 3, and r can be minus 5. So from here we can see all the terms must be positive, so obviously it cannot be this one. So r have to be 2 over 3. So the main question here is to find the first term, so replace back in your main equation. So a will have to be minus 9 divided by 2 over 3 minus 1. So minus 9 divided by 2 over 3 minus 1 should be 27. So a, which is the first term, have to be 27 of this progression. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So here we have to find the angle between the vectors 3i minus 4k and 2i plus 3j minus 6k. So pretty easy. This vector is 3, 0 minus 4, and this is 2, 3 minus 6. So to find the angle between them, we have to use the dot product equal to magnitude will be what? 9 plus 0 plus 16. That should be root of 25. So it will be 4 plus 9 plus 36, 49. And cos of the angle in between. So let's solve one by one. So 3 times 2, dot product, plus 0, plus 24. That should be this, divided by 5 times 7. That should be this, and cos inverse of that should be. So here we use degrees, so let's see what happens. So that should be divided by 5 times 7, and cos inverse, that will be 31 degrees. That will be part 1, 31 degrees for your answer. Now the vector OA has a magnitude of 15 units and is the same direction as the vector 3 minus 4k. The vector OB has a magnitude of 14 units and is in the same direction as the vector 2i plus 3j minus 6k. Okay, so we know those values. Now we have to find the vector OA and OB. So pretty easy. To find the vectors of OA and OB, we must first find the unit vector in those two directions. So the first one we have, what is the unit vector in this direction? That should be the vector itself, which is 3i plus 0j minus 4k divided by its magnitude, that should be 5, as we have seen here. That will be 3i minus 4k over 5. Now to find the vector OA, we know the magnitude of OA is 15, so we take the unit vector in direction of OA as well, then we times 15 to find the actual value of OA. That should be 9i minus 12k. That should be part 1. Now same steps for the other one as well. To find the unit vector in this direction, that should be what? 2i plus 3j minus 6k divided by its magnitude is 7, as we have seen here, right? Now to find OB, we take this unit vector and then we have to multiply by its magnitude. That was 14. 1, 2, that should be 4i plus 6j minus 12k. Okay, that is part 2 of your question. Now for part 3, we have to find the unit vector in the direction of AB. So pretty easy. We must first find AB. AB is OB minus OA. OB was found to be 4, 6 minus 12 minus OA is 9, 0 minus 12. That should be what? Minus 5, 6, and 0. So now we just have to find the magnitude of AB. That should be root of 25 plus 36. Should be root of 25 root of 61. So finally, the unit vector in direction of AB have to be the vector itself, which is minus 5i plus 0j and plus, so this is 6j plus 0k and over root of 61, root of 61, and root of 61. Now obviously we don't need to include this term, we can just have those two as your answer. And that will be part 3 of your question. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. The diagram shows part of the curve y equal to minus x squared plus 8x minus 10. Okay, so as you can see, we have the curve right here. Now, it passes through the point O and B. Okay. Now the curve has a maximum point at A, and the gradient of the line BA is 2. So if you were to join the line A to B, the gradient will be 2. Okay. Now first thing first, we have to find the points A and the points B. So how can we find this? So first one we can find is point A. We know the point A is a maximum point. To find the maximum point, we know it is at dy by dx at 0. That will be minus 2x plus 8 will be 0. X will be 4. Y will be, replace here, you will have minus 16 plus 8 times 4 will be 32 minus 10. Let's see what happens. So minus 16 plus 32 minus 10, that should be 6. So the point A will be 4, 6. Okay, now we have to find the point B. Now the point B is also not too bad. We know the point B lies on the curve. For example, we know the point B lies on the curve, this one on the curve, and also the point B, the line AB has gradient, so the line AB has gradient 2. So we can find the equation of AB. We have a passing point A, which is 4, 6, x and y, so y minus 6 over x minus 4 have to be what? Have to be the gradient. That should be this 2x minus 8, so y will be 2x minus 2. That will be your equation of your line AB. Now we understand the point B is a point of intersection of the straight line and the curve, so we have to solve simultaneously. So on one side we have the line, which is 2x minus 2 equal to minus x squared plus 8x minus 10. Send everything to one side, you will have x squared. Here we have 2 minus 8 should be minus 6x minus 2 plus 10 should be plus 8. Now we can factorize. That should be x times x, 4 times 2. To get minus 6, we have to have minus 4 minus 2. So x will be 4 and x will be the value of 2. Now obviously here we have this one already, and we have to find this one. This one is just this one. So that will be y is the point. Replace back in your equation here. 2 times 2 is 4 minus 2 is 2. That will be 2. The point B is 2 and 2. Okay, so here we go. A was found to be 4, 6, and the point B was 2 and 2. Now for part 2, we have to find the integration of this. So let's find that. Pretty easy. What is y? Y is minus x squared plus 8x minus 10 respect to dx. That will be, first thing first, increase the power by 1, divide by the same power, plus 8. Now here we have to increase by 1, that should be 2, divide by power, that should be this, plus c. Simplify, that should be 1 over 3, x power 3, plus 4x squared minus 10, x plus c. Hence, we have to use this to find the area of the region. So the area is pretty easy. This is area below the curve between the lines of 2 and 4. So integration, limits will be 4 and 2 of y. That will be minus 1 over 3 x cubed plus 4 x squared minus 10x between 4 and 2. Now we can simplify, obviously. That should be what? Minus 1 over 3 power 3 plus 4 times 16 minus 40. Minus 1 over 3, that should be 8 plus 4 times 4 and minus 20. So that should be 4 power 3, that should be minus 64 over 3. 4 times 16 minus 40, that should be 24. So plus 24. That should be minus 8 over 3. And here we have 16 minus 20 should be minus 4. Okay, now we can simplify. Minus 64 over 3 plus 24 minus 8 over 3 minus 4. That should be 9 1/3. Now if you want to simplify, 9 times 3 is 27 plus 1, that should be 28. 28 over 3, and that should be units square because it is area on the graph. Okay, as you can see, it was simply area below the curve. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So here we have functions f and g are defined by these two. Okay, now part 1, we have to express in terms of x for f inverse of x and g inverse of x, stating the values of x for which this is not defined. So let's see one by one. So let's first proceed with this one. So to find f inverse is pretty easy. Is to let y equal to f of x. That will be this plus this. Then we have to make x become subject. That will be y minus 5 divided by 2. So finally, f inverse, it is in terms of x. That will be x minus 5 over 2. That is part 1. Now for part 2, we have to find g inverse of x. So step by step again, let y equal to g of x. Cross multiply, you will have what? xy minus 3y, that should be 8. So from here, you will have what? xy, that will be 8 plus 3y. So x will be 8 plus 3y over y. So finally, you will have g inverse, it is in terms of x, that will be 8 plus 3x over the value of x. Okay, so let's move on to the next part now. Is we have to find the value of x for which g is not defined. As you can see, because g inverse of x is equal to what? 8 plus 3x over x. Now obviously we cannot divide by 0. I guess we know this. Because of that, x cannot be 0 because of this. That is part 1 of your question. Now for part 2, we have to sketch the graph of this f of x and f inverse of x on the same diagram, and we also have to show the relationship between them. So pretty easy, as we have seen this many times before. So first one is y equal to f of x will be 2x plus 5. Okay. Now from this we can have what? We know there's a straight line, so when x is 0, y will be 5. When x is 1, y will be 7, for example. Or we can say when y is 0, the value will be what? X will be minus 2.5. So we have the passing points. So let me draw the axis. This is the y-axis. And this should be the x-axis. X and y. So first point is x 0, 5, so 0, 5 should be somewhere over here. And then we're going to use this one, that should be minus 2.50 should be over here. So now we can join those two, right? And label this as y equal to f of x. The next step is we understand that the relationship between the two graphs is a reflection in the line y equal to x. So we can draw this. And then this will be y equal to x. And this, by reflection, we can draw the other line as well. Should be somewhere over here. Again, my graph is not exact, it is only a sketch, so it will not be perfect. But you get the idea. You have to show the reflection and the scale. You will do it properly for your exam. But in this case, we have to show the relationship and the sketch, and they should meet exactly on the line. And that should be y equal to f inverse of x. Has to be a reflection on this line. That's the main idea behind this question. Now for part 3, given that the equation f of g of x is equal to this, where k is a constant, we has no solutions. So has no solutions, which means b squared minus 4ac have to be less than 0. Find the values of k. So pretty easy. Let's first find f g of x. So f of g of x will be 2 times g of x will be 8 over x minus 3 plus 5. That should be 16 plus 5x minus 3 over x minus 3. And that is equal to the value of 5 minus kx. Right. Now obviously we can cross multiply. You will have 16 plus 5x minus 15 have to be 5 minus kx times x minus 3. That should be 1 plus 5x. So that will be 5x minus 15 minus kx squared plus 3kx. Send everything to one side, you will have k x squared. Then we can have this one, this will cancel out. You will have minus 3kx plus 1 plus 16 plus 15 should be plus 16 is 0. But now from this, we understand that they have no solution, so b squared will be minus 3k squared minus 4a times c have to be less than 0. That should be 9k squared minus 64k have to be less than 0. Now obviously we have to find their critical values, just equate that to 0, so we can have 9k squared minus 64k have to be 0. Now factorize k outside, you will have 9k minus 64 have to be 0. So k can be 0 and k can be 64 over 9. Now it is positive here. It will be in this shape. This is 0 and that should be 64 over 9. Now here we need the value to be less, be below. So obviously it will be between, x have to be between 64 over 9 and 0 according to the graph. For it to be below 0. Okay, and that will be part 3 of your question.